trace the origin of this issue, which has led to escalation of tension between Canada and India, one would, I believe, have to go back 45 years. And do you agree with the conclusion? And these 45 years, Canada has in fact turned into a safe haven for the pro-Khalistan groups, for the Khalistan terrorists?
I recall 20 years ago, I did a documentary for my old employer, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, and the documentary was called Safe Haven, and it argued that Canada had bent over backwards to accommodate and tolerate and to avoid challenging the buildup of threats from Khalistani extremists who were living in Canada, plotting in Canada, basically free to operate in Canada. And again, that it showed my immense influence in Canada by the fact that nobody paid any attention to at all to my documentary, and the situation promptly got worse rather than better after it was broadcast. The point is that Mr. Jaishankar and the Indian side is correct. There's no way to argue. Canadians should not be arguing that they've done a great job battling against Khalistani terrorism. They looked the other way. They had the Air India bombers under surveillance for 3 months before the bombing of 1985 and still didn't figure out what they were up to, didn't do anything about it, didn't heed the warnings, put them on the shelf. They had a specific warning 3 weeks before that bombing, for example, and didn't do anything about it. The warning was from India, and it said they're going to try to put explosives in the baggage, which is exactly what happened. That's why the plane blew up. And then after the bombing, the legal system in Canada was slow, sclerotic, it was inefficient. It was specialized in seemingly throwing out valuable evidence as inadmissible, and basically everyone except one man, the lowly bomb maker, got off. Only one man was ever convicted. Now, I don't mean to go on about the Air India case, but it's symptomatic. It shows the kind of atmosphere that prevailed in Canada, and it continues today, where we now have the normalization of displays of terrorist propaganda, including martyr posters garlanded with gold tinsel, for heaven's sake, of the Air India bomber himself, Devinder Parmar, who's held up as a model for Sikh youth. Publicly, nobody says boo about it, except for people like me, and nobody listens to me, as we've already established. So we have a situation now in Canada where you can drive through downtown Toronto with a flatbed truck holding a life-size reenactment of the assassination of Indira Gandhi in 1984, a celebration of terrorism, an applause for terrorism, telling children that this is a wonderful thing and we're glad we did it. We're proud of this event, and nobody says boo. It's completely normal. Well, the foreign minister did say boo. She said it's unacceptable. And what happened? We accepted it. We didn't do anything about it. The same thing with these latest developments, the killer posters, for example, advertising that these are the photographs and the names of the Indian diplomats upon whose backs we are painting a target. If you want to go get them, we're offering rewards for revealing their home addresses. Isn't that pleasant? These are celebrations of terror. These are incitements to violence. And Canada, to date, has not cracked down, and Canadians need to sit up and wake up and realize that India is correct about that. Now, none of that means that it's okay if India did indeed come into Canada and assassinate a Canadian citizen on Canadian soil. That's illegal. It's a breach of international law, and it's a disgrace. That doesn't mean that none of what I've said indicates that it's okay to do that. But Canadians need to realize that the Indians were frustrated for a reason, and that for 40 years, those reasons have been building up.
Right. Now there are claims that there is credible evidence, but there's nothing in the public domain. I want to bring in Captain Alok Bansal. Captain Alok Bansal, has the External Affairs Minister actually hit the nail on the head by calling out the political convenience?
There is no doubt, as the previous speaker said very clearly, Canada has been following a path where actually they have been giving a tacit acceptance of terrorism. He highlighted the Air India bombing case, and in fact that case is a point case. The people were under surveillance, they tested bombs, they were still not apprehended, they carried weapons from US, they brought things. The only one individual was apprehended, and he was also for given a very light punishment. The punishment got aggravated because of perjury and other issues. The main masterminds were allowed to get away. Those who were arrested also managed to get away. And I think that particular bombing was the biggest aviation terrorist act before 9/11. And despite that, Canada did not. And today, you are seeing very clearly an evidence of incitement to violence. People are being told that these are Indian diplomats, they can be targeted. You are celebrating the terrorist act whereby Prime Minister of India was assassinated at some stage, and that you are advertising, that you are celebrating. So this is open incitement to terrorism. Now, you cannot have this sort of a selective decision making that you have certain citizens of yours will continue to indulge in this sort of an activities. And that's what is wrong. And I think India has said, if you have a credible evidence, please share it with us. I think Canada has not been able to do so till now.
Right.